Okay, we're here. Welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday. I was going to come full screen, but it's okay. You can see me and you can hear me. November 22nd, 2022. And gosh, we're closing in on Thanksgiving this week. So thank you guys for joining in on Tuesday night. Tonight I wanted to share with you a little bit of my Best of Ireland tour. And what I've done to kind of switch things up on both of my tours in Ireland. We've always had a Taste of Ireland tour and a Best of Ireland tour, but now we kind of combined the itineraries together. So let me just show you a little bit. So right now, this was the old route for the Taste of Ireland. We would begin in Dublin, 2 nights in Dublin, a night in Kilkenny. We'd go by Blarney Castle, visit the Blarney Stone, visit Blarney Woolen Mills, spend 2 nights in Dingle, go up to the Cliffs of Moher, see that, and spend 2 nights in Galway. And then actually we would spend 1 night in Galway and then back to Dublin for the final night to fly out. So, and then the old route as of 2019 and this year as well was going up to the north of Ireland, and from that point it was totally separate tour. And then we would go up to Westport, and then we would go to Northern Ireland and up around Derry and Portrush and the Giant's Causeway and to Belfast, and then back to Dublin. Again, spending the last day of the tour traveling back to Dublin on both of those routes. Well, after thinking it through and running it past people who travel with me this year, I decided that, gosh, we don't really need to waste that last day of the tour coming back to Dublin and just having dinner together, because you've already spent 2 days in Dublin at the beginning of the tour. So I designed it so that the tour ends in Galway for the Taste of Ireland, and it ends in Belfast for the Best of Ireland. And so you see that route right there on the screen. Now, let me let it run just a second. You see it says, maybe, what's a ho-ho? Ho-ho is the short word for hop on, hop off. All over Europe, you have these big bus tours in the city centers, and you can pay a certain fee, maybe like €25 a day. And you can get on this bus and you can ride it around a particular circuit, and you can hop off anytime you want to. Well, I've kind of combined these 2 tours together, and you can hop on and hop off at a couple of places. The best place to do that would be at Kerry, Galway, and Belfast. Galway being the halfway point, which is our Taste of Ireland tour. Now, some people are already concerned that have signed up for tours. They're saying, well, listen, if I end up in Galway at the end of the tour, how do I get back to Dublin? Because that's where my flight's leaving. Well, that's very easy, because there are 3 or 4 bus companies in Ireland that make their money taking people back and forth from Galway city center and Belfast city center to Dublin Airport. And so for $18 to $22, euro, let's say euro, it's dollars now too, you can get all the way back in just a short 2.5 to 3 hours back to the airport in Dublin. However, if you want to jump off in Galway, there's also an airport in Shannon, very nearby, like 45 minutes away. That is not a problem to go to and fly back home to the United States or other parts of Europe. And if you're doing the Best of Ireland tour and you end up in Belfast, then that means that Belfast has an international airport that you can make connections back to USA, or more importantly, back to places in Europe, whether it be Dublin, London, any big city in Europe is no problem at all. So that's kind of how we're working that out. I hope maybe that explains a little bit of it. I've got a photo of Ryanair here, because that's a very Irish airline that flies all over Europe for a very small amount of money. So there's my Best of Ireland tour. right there on the map, going all the way from Dublin back around to Belfast. And here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about Dublin in 2 days. Of course, this is the GPO, the General Post Office. It's a very important part for Irish history. The Millennium Spire is right there behind me with Jim Larkins there. He's a labor leader that was right there in front of the spire. We'll tell you all about that. Of course, you have to go to the Guinness Storehouse and go up to the Halfpenny Bridge, which crosses the River Liffey. And then we were just here a few weeks ago, and Temple Bar is
a little like this.
All decked out.
Dublin's fair city, where the girls are all pretty.
I
first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone. She wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets wide and narrow, singing cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, singing cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Well, there you have it.
Hey, this is just some of the food. This is fish and chips at one of my favorite pubs there, the Old Storehouse in Temple Bar, Bulmer's, and shepherd's pie, which is mostly potatoes with meat underneath it. This is the famine memorial right along the river Liffey, right in front of the customs house. And this is inside Trinity College. We go and see the Book of Kells, which we can't take photos there, but inside Trinity College, this is Trinity College Library, very similar to maybe something you Guinness Storehouse and the Sky Bar up top. So you go in and how Guinness is produced, turn the bar at the top, and you get a free pint of Guinness. And this is the local transportation called the Luas, L-U-A-S.
Hey, I can't let this last little video element slip by here in Dublin. A pretty good juxtaposition between the Samuel Beckett Bridge and the Convention Center, glistening in the River Liffey. My gosh, Dublin's a beautiful city. Jenny Johnson right here in the background, the replica famine ship. Hey, your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. You need to come to Dublin with me.
After Dublin, we leave after 2 nights and go to Glendalough in the Wicklow
Hey,
Mountains.
David McGuffin here. Welcome to Ireland, County Wicklow, and St. Kevins Monastery at Glendalough. I got a guy eating with a weed eater here behind us, so you know things are going pretty well here. Tourism is definitely back. There's a lot of people here, probably 10 buses or so, and but it is a nice, peaceful day, except for the weed eater here in Glendalough. So I hope you enjoy this look around the monastic site here of St. Kevin's Monastery at Glendalough.
So I'm going to stop it there for just a second because you see there's a round tower there. And this dates from the 7th century because Kevin was a missionary that came over, just like people we know, St. Patrick as well, the most famous. And they came over and were bringing the message of Christ to all of the Celtic people, indigenous people. And they set up monastic settlements. And around these monastic settlements were built churches, places of worship, cathedrals, dorms for the monks that were living there, the round towers to protect all their valuables, and most importantly, to have a bell in it to ring when everybody would want to gather for prayer and everything else. And so all of these monastic sites are scattered all over the island of Ireland. And this is one great example of one of these bell towers that is still totally intact. And so it's important because it chronicles the spread of, let's see how the Irish put it. They say, my friend Brendan, the first guy I met in Ireland way back when he said, the Irish were Christianized in 432 AD by Saint Patrick. And that's the term the Irish used. The message of Christ was spread to them and they were Christianized from their Celtic and pagan ways. And so Kevin, who established this monastery, came in the 7th century. And around that monastery, over the years, you could see there are a lot of graves there. But the graves spread out and spread out and spread out. So in Ireland, there's a term, graveyard is a set of graves that are all scattered around a church. But a cemetery has no church related to it, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. So you're either buried in a cemetery or a graveyard. And here's a cemetery. Many people ask me about the weather in Ireland. If you don't like it, wait 10 minutes, look at the blue skies. This is Kilkenny. And I don't know if you can see the titles there or not, but Kilkenny is a city. It's called the Marble City. This
Standing by the ocean, wondering where you're gone if you.
Some years ago, we just kind of happened upon this bar where a bunch of golfers showed up and entertained us with traditional singing. They're not professionals at all.
In springtime, snow start to melt.
And then, of course, you walk down to Tiger's Club, and you get the stick dancing and the pool dancing as well. It's really a very nice little walkable town right along the river north. This is castle by the Butler family. You can go out there. Get to see this pub music, but most importantly, go to this, my favorite Italian restaurant outside of Italy called Rinuccini. And these are some of the delicacies that we get served. Some rigatoni, ragu. There looks like that's risotto with rich beef sauce, spaghetti and meatballs. And of course, some great Italian wine, which you can't get everywhere.
Me and you. Okay, so Louis, this is the first time ever we've had a decanting bottle down here in the cellar. My friend, hey Sean, there you are. You're getting this bottle. Trevor's
I
over
love
here.
it. And I'm giving it to David
Yeah.
because he's my favorite.
And from there, we go down to Blarney. We spend an afternoon at Blarney Castle.
Hey, David McGuffin here. This morning, I am at Blarney Castle. A beautiful day in mid-September, about 60 degrees out here Fahrenheit.
Now, many people think Blarney is just a tourist trap, which the castle, you can see it, it's in ruins. Matter of fact, the only time I've ever been to the top is right here.
Yeah, I'm not hanging over nothing. I just want to see it.
And you can't even tell, but we're climbing up a spiraling staircase. This lady is Wanda, and she's kissing the Blarney Stone. And she didn't like it. She missed it. She's gonna do it again.
That's it?
I got two kisses.
You probably get it from.
Now I've been there, I don't know how many times. I've never done that because I'm afraid I could never get up. So never kissed the Blarney Stone, but I love walking around the grounds, the castle grounds. There's probably about 20 miles of trails throughout Blarney Castle grounds. And I love it. This is a Blarney House where the people live nowadays, although that's still 300 years old. This is a rock grotto called the Witch's Rock. Can you see it? Their pointed nose, everything. There's a multi-environment there as well. Here we go in through a kind of a maze as well in the grounds of Blarney Castle. And then we go down in a ravine and from there we go to Dingle. There's a whole lot of fun music here. This is fantastic town. Yes, Charlotte is her favorite place in all of Ireland. Leslie's standing right here next to me. She filmed this video just 2 or 3 weeks ago of these sheep. I think they don't want to come to her.
Hey, David McGuffin here, back in Ireland on the Sleigh Head Drive, my favorite place in all of Ireland, the southwest coast here on the Dingle Peninsula. Behind me is the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Blasket Island.
A little example of the kind of coach we take, we drive on. Our groups are never bigger than 18, so that's about a 28 passenger bus. A few years ago, during COVID, what was this, 2021, I took this horn choir from West Texas A&M University in Ireland. We couldn't perform anywhere else but outside, and they made the best of it. The Beehive Hut, ancient dwellings from 2,500 years ago. Another group standing there. Of course, there's sheep everywhere, painted sheep to identify the farmers.
Hey, David McGuffin here. Welcome to County Clare, Ireland, the Cliffs of Moher.
We end up at the Cliffs of Moher.
A little bit sea fog today, windy, but really dry. So what a great day. It's a different experience every time I arrive here. Hope you enjoy this little look around the Cliffs of Moher.
100 feet down to the sea. It's always windy there. This is up at McKegg's Tower along the, if you go up to the right-hand side of the cliffs. And this is a shot I got from way out. Galway is the next stop. Galway is the third largest city in all of Ireland. And it's known for all the buskers on the main street.
And these
This young lady is doing a great job
helping me at all.
On the street. Galway Cathedral. By the way, today's the 22nd of November.
Baby, I'm still learning how to lose you. Like a kickback from a smoking gun, take some getting used to. And I
Go to the Aran Island. It's about a 45-minute trip off the coast of
and
Galway.
these ghosts I treat like lovers ain't helping me at all.
And
Baby, I'm still learning how to
out
lose
beyond
you.
the mainland.
Baby, I'm still learning how to lose you.
And we're back in Galway here.
Baby, I'm
We're
still
kind of like,
learning how to lose you. Baby, I'm still learning how to lose you. Thank you.
So the way these buskers work, buskers are the name for, pickup musicians who show up. Well, first of all, they've got to be decent. But, and I know this because that horn choir I showed you earlier, we were over there in 2021. And right as Ireland was coming out of the COVID pandemic and we're allowing travelers back in, but there were no pubs open, no churches open, no public places open. So I would go to the police department at each city we went to and said, hey, listen, I got this horn choir. And everybody would tell me the same thing. It's no problem. You can play anywhere outside you want to. You have a 40-minute time limit, and then you got to move. And so once you move, you can go to the next place and pick up and perform. But the buskers here in Galway have a relationship with one another. So there's always one waiting in the wings to come take over here. But the buskers are a great tradition. And, you know, you can imagine if you're no good, you won't be back the next night because they'll boo you out of the place. So that's where we go. But this young lady was really good. So from there, from Galway, I'm just showing you here a little bit. You can jump off in Galway. That's the end of the Taste of Ireland tour. After 2 nights in Galway, we'll help you get on one of those buses all the way back to Dublin if that's where you want to go. That's 2.5 to 3 hours all the way back to the airport, and you fly on home. Or you can fly home from Shannon, which is 45 minutes away. Or you can continue on the Best of Ireland tour, which moves on to the north to Westport. And on the way, we stop at this Kylemore Abbey.
Hi, David McGuffin here at Kylemore Abbey. I hope you enjoyed this look around an ancient monastery and a manor house.
This is the chapel at Kylemore Abbey. The gentleman, Mr. Moore, built this whole place. He was an English land baron. And he built this for his wife. Look at this Gothic, or neo-Gothic.
This neo-Gothic house, known as Kylemore Abbey, was built in the late 1860s by Mitchell Henry, a
Not
wealthy
Mr. Moore, Mr.
Englishman.
Henry.
He built this from the Abbey front door. It has magnificent views over the Connemara.
Look at that. This is the Connemara Mountains, just north of Galway.
From Kylemore Abbey, your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
Beyond the Abbey, if you walk 20 minutes, you come to the Abbey Gardens.
Hey, I'm at the walled gardens at Kylemore Abbey. These gardens were planted in the late 1870s by Mr. Mitchell Henry for his wife. It's one of the massive gardens here on the estate.
The next stop is Westport. It's kind of an overnight stop just to lay our head. A beautiful little town, and but it's very famous because of the chieftains. And you just saw the pub there that we go into, owned by one of the chieftains, Matt Malloy. And you could go in there, and sometimes the chieftains even show up. Unfortunately, they never shown up when I was there, but the music is always good at that pub. So we go from there. From there, we head into Northern Ireland. Derry, or Londonderry, is right on the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland. So it almost runs right through the middle of the city center. So there's always been butting head controversy there because of the political and religious beliefs from both parties. Now it's very well received, but yet there's still those sectarian neighborhoods and communities that are during certain times of the year, especially in July, that really show their colors. Let's put it that way. So this is Derry, looking through there, and we spent an afternoon there with Martin McCrossan and his city tours, and we do a walking tour of the whole village. From there, we go on into Northern Ireland, and we go up to Bushmills. Bushmills is the home of a whiskey distillery on the River Bush, a mill on the River Bush.
Bush Mills.
We often stay in the town of Portrush, which is kind of like the Coney Island of Northern Ireland. Of course, there's some friends of us recently.
Hi, David McGuffin here on the far north coast of Ireland at the Giant's Causeway. I hope you enjoyed this 60-second look around this magnificent example of God's handiwork. Geologists say that some 60 million years ago, when the Earth was forming and the tectonic plates were breaking apart, that a lava eruption happened in this area. And over a course of many thousands of years, these basaltic columns formed as the Earth's core, which had been pushed here, were drying.
These things are amazing to walk on. They're like individual stop signs that you can just climb up, up, and up. And
From the
moving
Giant's
on,
Causeway,
and
far
this
north
causeway,
coast of Ireland,
they call it the causeway because
right
it's
here with David
goes
McGuffin's
under
Exploring
the
Europe.
sea and comes up in Scotland, on the island of Scotland.
McGuffin here, kind of jogging along the Ulster Way. Behind me is the northern tip of the island here of Ireland, and there's a little rope bridge that goes out to the very tip where salmon fishers used to string their nets to catch the salmon coming across from the North Sea into the Atlantic.
That's a cool experience. And the last time we were there, the wind was too heavy and they shut it down.
Hey,
so
David McGuffin, hope you've
they
enjoyed this look
walk
around
to
the north coast of Ireland, County
bridge.
Antrim, with the Carrick-a-Reed rope bridge in the
That happens a
background.
lot.
Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
And then we end up in Belfast. Belfast is a controversial city. Again, divided, sectarian division. And there's, but we were here. I just filmed this, let me see, in September, I think. And so Belfast is a very vibrant city, up and coming city as well. I don't even know. Let me see if I can go right back. Just one slide. Stop it here for a second. Do you recall?
Hey, David McGuffin, hope you've enjoyed this look around the north coast of Ireland, County Antrim, with the Carrick-a-Reed rope bridge in the background. Your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.
I know you all know that Queen Elizabeth passed away a few months ago. And right before she passed away, there was a new prime minister elected. She only lasted a couple of weeks. And I knew her name at the time. Now I can't even remember who it is. But do you see, this is a character, a mural, because in Northern Ireland, they're famous for putting murals on walls depicting political cartoons or important events that happened or important political figures. And so nobody even knows her name. I can't remember, but she was there for like 3 weeks. She met the Queen. The Queen invited her to form a government in her name, in the Queen's name. And the Queen passed away a few days later. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, she was out. And this is the other side of the political cartoon where Boris Johnson was here knocking out the other guy. I'm not very big in UK politics, but knocking this out. But this was like fresh paint right there on the street as we walked by. I should have done my research before this. This is also in part of the Belfast, the up and coming gentrified district. You can see these are all Victorian era buildings. This is the tower that's leaning as much as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Belfast is a big modern city as well. The river's right here, of course, the harbor, and this is the most important draw here. This is the Belfast Titanic experience. And it just retraces a lot of the history of the Titanic because it was built there. We also were able to do a real ho-ho bus, believe it or not, ride. And that hop-on, hop-off bus goes out into the sectarian neighborhoods, the Protestant and Catholic neighborhoods of one of them is Shankill Road. And there are all these murals here, but this was the mural that was freshly painted on the side of a building to honor Queen Elizabeth. And you can see it's the People's Monarch, 1926 to 1922. And you can see all of the flowers and everything that were being laid there in her honor as well. So we end that trip in Belfast after 2 nights. And then that gives you the option to fly home, take a bus or a train back to Dublin and fly home, or go somewhere else in Europe. And that's a 12-day experience for the best of Ireland. So I hope maybe that explains a little bit about how I'm restructuring my tours in Ireland to seamlessly meld one into the other, as opposed to have 2 different ones. And also, just so you know, it also, the important part for me is that it gives you not the last day to ride all the way back to Dublin on a bus and have dinner, but you have an experience elsewhere, whether it be in Galway on the Taste of Ireland trip to go to the Aran Islands, or whether we spend the 2 nights in Belfast. And that way you get, it's more bang for your buck, I think. So that's how I'm doing it for my Best of Ireland and my Taste of Ireland tour beginning next year. Now, goodness, there's Charlotte and I from last year. We're heading out on Friday to do our Christmas markets tours. We have 2 of them, and we'll be gone for a couple of weeks. And we're looking forward to doing that. And then beginning on the 13th of December, we are going to celebrate 2 years of Travel Talk Tuesday with a big Christmas party, whether it be by way of Zoom with a, not a webinar, but with a Zoom meeting, or whether if you're in the area where we live in North Florida, you come by our house and we do the celebration here and watch me stand in front of this camera and do Travel Talk Tuesday for a little bit, or you know, join in and have a great celebration, because it's the drop-in party on the 13th of December, and we'll be chronicling what we just did during the next few weeks, and that is going to France and going to Italy, going to Germany, and going to Switzerland and Austria. Nope, Switzerland's not there. And Austria on our Christmas markets tours are 2 different types of Christmas market tours. So we'll be here in Middleburg, Florida from 7 o'clock to 9 doing Travel Talk Tuesday and hosting a big celebration. Bring your favorite drinks, food, and snacks. We'll have a fire for grilling, ice for chilling, cups for swilling, and all the essential stuff with which to eat. We'll even have a pot of glue wine, that's not how you say it. Glühwein. I got to get ready to go to Germany here on Friday. Glühwein on as well. So I hope you can join us either virtually or in person on the 13th of December. And with that said, thank you guys for watching Travel Talk Tuesday tonight. I appreciate you dropping in. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We are so thankful to live in the United States of America and to live in a free country where we can choose to do what we like to do. We just thank you so much for being a part of this. And until next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think it is, December 13th, Hey, your adventure starts right here with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe.